All right. So, welcome everybody to the Awakening Vibes virtual book signing. Hope everybody's doing good today. We got a few of you in here. I just wanted to pop in here real quick just to tell you a little bit about my book, Awakening Vibes Soulbook. If you have a copy, thank you for purchasing. If you don't have a copy, you can purchase either at Amazon.com or you can also purchase at my website, which is www.prettybrown.ink. It should be going across your screen right now. And the whole purpose for writing this book was really I've had a few challenges over the past, I'd say, like 6 or 7 years, and really got away from myself, my foundation, just like in an uncertain place. And I don't know if anybody's ever been like that, like in a place where they just don't trust themselves. But I was in a place where I wasn't trusting my own decisions, and I just really needed to take a pause and say, like, whoa, what's going on? And I didn't feel like it's hard to explain. I guess when you feel like people depend on you a lot, it's hard to say to people, I don't have an answer. So I did not reach out for help. I did not tell anybody what I was going through. The only thing I knew to do was just to talk to God and say, Lord, help me figure this out. And in that process, I kind of isolated myself and started doing a lot of research, reading, studying online, reading my Bible, but also looking into different alternative wellness practices. And what I discovered was kind of an inner strength that I never knew I had. So that's where this book came from. I realized once I came out on the other side, which thank God I did, um, I can't be the only one, the only woman, the only man, the only person that's going through something and not feeling like they have, you know, a shoulder to lean on. So I put everything into this book that I discovered, and a lot of it was just focusing on like breaking down onto core issues and talking about my emotions and working through those and figuring out like who I was and yeah, that's how this book came about. And I've always written. I wrote my first book when I was 5. I always wanted to be a writer. So this was just kind of this was baby steps. This is a journal. It's an interactive journal. It's not a novel, so you're not going to read my life story. Although I am working on an autobiography right now. This is a soul book. That's what I call it, a soul book. It kind of helps you to find yourself. So this virtual book signing, I mean, if you have anything to say, feel free to jump in and ask a question. If not, we're just going to run through this real quick because I just want more people to get the word out. Because especially in communities of color, I feel like there's a stigma and we don't talk about the issues that we're going through, and especially when they're emotional or mental. We tend to rely on the church a lot, which the church is great for that. And I have to say, like, my faith and my foundation is really what gave me the strength to carry through. But there were also some things that, because I'm more of a cerebral person, I needed to see facts and I needed to, work out the issues and things like that. So we're going to jump into this book. And what I'm going to start with is just my message to you. I'll read that because I think it's cute and I want you guys to hear it. So this is what it says. Hey, love bug, you are strong. The focus of our Awakening Vibes Soul Book is to go into your soul and activate the strength needed for survival. An essential part of your self-care journey depends on how you view yourself. The Awakening Vibes has been personally curated and designed by me as a resource for the strong friend. You know her, the one who hates to be vulnerable. Yep, her, you, me. Each one of the 16 vibes has been chosen because of personal experiences that challenged me to face some truths head on. I'm not a therapist, relationship expert, or a life coach. I'm just a grace filled woman striving to be my best self in a world of chaos. Everything that I'm sharing with you, I've overcome or I'm working through. I want that for you too. Because let's face it, I know it's not an easy journey learning to love and accept yourself authentically. At times when I was going through this, I felt lost, alone, and very unsure of a safe spot to land. But I knew I needed to land. I looked within, turned to my foundation, and found my freedom. Be open to the journey. I need you to know that you are loved. And that's really the whole purpose of this book. I just don't want another woman to sit at home or alone and feel like they are the only ones that is struggling and don't feel strong, because sometimes you don't feel strong, and that's really okay. It's really okay. Um, so we're gonna do a quick virtual tour, aka my soul book guide, which in this book it's hard for you to see, but I've laid out for you a guide to kind of map your walk through this book. Starts with the message to self. I mean, you can take it in any order you want to. There's also a 30-day goal planner in here. I'm not necessarily a map out in a calendar kind of person, but I know a lot of people are. And so it's a valuable resource in the back of this soul book. Um, I have go-to guides that I created as well. Um, they're pretty cool little words you need to know, thought-provoking podcasts, books that I love to challenge your mind. And real quick, the podcast, like that's kind of my first step where I started when I said like, okay, I'm hitting a brick wall. I'm making a lot of mistakes. My decisions are really screwed up, and I don't like I can't even call my mom and say I need help with this, but I just need my mind to be quiet for a minute. I started with my favorite person in the whole world, Oprah, her Super Soul Sunday conversations, and I would play them in the morning and just take a walk on Sundays because I felt like I didn't even feel like I was worthy enough to go to church at the time. I was just like, I've messed up completely. So I would just walk in the mornings and listen to that. And as I began to listen to the different guests that she had on her show, I realized like it was one universal theme, and that we all, have to rely on our faith. And, when you're struggling, your faith is the one thing that'll pull you through. But that's where I started. And you can start with something else. I mean, people have a lot of different podcasts that they listen to. I know there's Therapy for Black Girls is another great podcast. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's another thing like you'll feel like, oh, I'm not the only one. I am not alone. Um, Back to the go-to guides. We have some quotables in here. So kind of baby steps in getting back into writing and trusting my voice and having faith in my voice was with this book. Is initially I started with quotes from a lot of different women that I admired in the world, and it suggested just to use more of my own voice. So I took each word and started making quotes, and we'll get into that in just a minute. There's vibe assessment. So I call each of these characteristics or qualities, I call them vibes because that's just my vibe. Rants and thoughts, just blank pages to write your notes, whatever you want to say. Um, Another thing that like I'm not a doodler, but it may come in handy for you. At the end of this, we also have self-reflection. So I have a few questions that if you go through the entire journal and have done the work, you should be able to answer these questions. And this is not an end-all be-all. Like this is not the Bible and you're going to be cured after this. This is kind of helping you get back to a steady place where you feel like when you're on the balance beam and you're starting to be wobbly, this kind of lets you, okay, yeah, I'm good. I can keep walking. So, quickly, words you need to know, because my verbiage can be a little different for people because I'm like that. Bohemian. Bohemian Bap is what I go by. I'm very, I'm a very private person. So even being in social media, like I hate people knowing my name. I hate people coming up to me and saying my name. So I started with baby steps and I made up Bohemian Bap on Instagram because it was something that I felt like described me. And a Bohemian Bap, it can best be described as a cross between Whitney Gilbert and Denise Huxtable. And that's pretty much me. But Bohemian is socially unconventional in an artistic way. Bap, Black American princess. I mean, I'm a queen, but started as a princess. A vibe, that's a person's emotional state. The soul book, that's these here that I have created. And they're a book intended to encourage internal work and healing of one's inner being. Authentic, that's what we're kind of all working to be. Authentic is undisputed, of undisputed origin or genuine. Um, and it's a struggle to be authentic sometimes in this world because you have so many different eyes on you and so much judgment. But once you get to a place of authenticity, like it's amazing because then you don't care about other people's opinions. Self-assessment, and that's really what this book and the work that I did was, a true self-assessment. And a self-assessment teaches you to level with yourself regarding your innermost drives, desires, and your belief systems. It's really being honest with yourself. And it's a hard thing for some people to do. Not some people, it's a hard thing for a lot of people to do if you've never truly been honest with yourself. Like you kind of have to hold your own feet to the fire and be accountable, but we'll talk about that a little later. Active listening, something I'm getting better at. I really am getting better at. The listener fully concentrates, understands, responds, and then remembers what's being said. And then alignment, which is we all want everything to be in perfect alignment. It's in correct or appropriate relative positions. And another statement that I talk about in here is your relaxation response. And the best way to describe that is it is the opposite of your fight or flight. So it's your body's personal ability to encourage yourself to calm down. And if you ever struggled with anxiety or flying off the handle, for a better way to put it, going from 0 to 100, like your relaxation response is something that you must work on. It'll get you farther in the long run. And emotional intelligence is another thing. And I feel like all of these words are things that, and all of these definitions are things that we don't talk about a lot in the communities of color. But your emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions and handle interpersonal relationships empathetically. So those are my definitions. And again, like I said, going through this journey, it started with having to put all of my emotions into the correct boxes because I was feeling depressed and angry and hurt, and I had to figure out like what those feelings were and why I was feeling them. And this next thing that I'm going to pop up here, the Ekman's Atlas of Emotions, that was a tremendous help to me. I recommend everybody going to atlasofoemotions.org. And I spent probably a good 3 months just working through that whole series that they have there. And it really breaks down expressing, like it helps you to really think through, like if you're angry, what is that anger about really? If you're sad, what is it about? And it really brings it all the way back to the core of like the beginning of when you first experienced those emotions. So it was really helpful to me. I found it really helpful. But and thank you guys all for joining me. So excited. So we're gonna start. I'm only gonna cover 4 of these vibes today. And the first vibe we're gonna talk about is love. And I'll read you a quote. And in this book as well, like I have illustrations. It's hard for you to see. There we go. I have some illustrations because I know some people like to color. I tried to think of everything, but not have this book be too busy. Um, so the first quote says, "Love yourself." Then I saw her, so full of life, funny, caring, and adventurous. My 9-year-old self was happy, self-assured, writing constantly. It was everything I wanted to be now. How did I lose her? And that was the beginning of how I got to this spot. And so in this love section, there's also 3 prompts that we'll call them. Um, and if you're working through the book or you have the book, or if not, this is a great start for you. So I just want you today or tomorrow to list 5 non-physical traits that you love about yourself. Um, it can be anything, and it may take you a while, but really think, like, don't be superficial. Really think about 5 non-physical traits you love about yourself, like your ability to be reliable, or your intelligence, or it can be anything. But just doing that, that's something that helps you when you're going through emotionally difficult times. You need a reminder to always let you know, like, who you are and whose you are and where you come from and what you're made of, because you made it this far. So you definitely, this is not the end. And again, that was the purpose of this book. I want to make sure that everyone knows, like, you may be having a rough time right now. And I'm not one to always say, like, I'm having a rough time, but I had a rough time. And I don't want anybody to ever go through what I went through. Um, it's not the best feeling to be disappointed in yourself, or to be angry with yourself or sad with yourself. And that was one thing that Ekman's Atlas of Emotions helped me to sort through. Like, a lot of my feelings I was projecting onto others, but it was really all about myself and my expectations for myself that were incredibly unrealistic. Um, so next, accountability. That's another one. So this quote, and I love this little picture here. I try to work with women of color and minorities in designing this book in small businesses. The cover design, you can see it on my website better. Okay, there you go. You can see it. And the cover design was designed by Zaya Marketing, and she's a phenomenal woman of God, graphic designer, businesswoman, mentor, pastor. But I told her my vision, and she sent the cover back to me, and I was like, that's perfect. So accountability, getting off topic. This quote says, "I've cut myself a lot of slack over the years. Not anymore. Global domination is still possible. The worst feeling is looking in the mirror and knowing you're shorting yourself. Not the kid. That's what they call me. Not anymore. That's out." So accountability. Like, you cannot be mad about your situation if there's something that you can do about your situation. That's what I've learned. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody, but a lot of times accountability, it tends to be something I did. So the question in the prompt that I have for accountability is, recall a time someone told you that your actions hurt them. How did you react? And that was a big one for me. Like, I wrote that down because I had to actually think about, I was going through a situation, and someone, expressed to me that, like, the things that I was saying and doing was really hurting them. And I was like, whatever, I'm hurt. So no, I don't think so. It's not that way. But once I calmed down, I had to really do a self-assessment and understand that, like, maybe I didn't express myself the best way. Maybe, yeah, I can see how my actions hurt the person. And if you want to move on in life, like, you have to learn how to be the bigger person or be a grown up and apologize. I haven't always been a grown up, but I'm growing. That's life. We're doing it. The next section, healing. And again, that's a lot of hurt and anger that people express. Is it comes from a place of an unhealed wound, hurt, memory, experience. So again, this soul book is about working on the inner you, and it's not about pointing fingers, because we can do that easily, point fingers. But if you want to go through life and not be bitter and not be angry, you definitely have to look at yourself and do as much as you can. You owe it to yourself to do as much as you can in order to move on and heal. So healing, I want you to think about, who do you owe an apology? And a lot of times, like, we know, yeah, I might have hurt somebody's feelings, but I'm not saying anything to them because they haven't said anything to me, so we're just going to go on. But apologize without expectation. And it's hard at first, but once you start doing that, like, and incorporate that into your everyday life, you'll be surprised as it gets easier. And it may not become like, apologize without expectation literally means without expectation. So don't expect them to accept your apology. Don't expect them to become your friend. Don't expect them to treat you any differently. You really have to just, okay, it's like my grandmother used to say, turn the other cheek. And it's so hard to do, but turn the other cheek. And this is a cute little, I like this one in here too. It says, water your own grass. That's what the healing is all about. And next, we have fearless. Being fearless is something that we all should be, but it's hard. It's hard. Starve your fears. And this says, do not judge. You don't know the storm I've asked her to walk through. And that's not my own quote, but it's something that I really, in my beginning stages of my journey back to myself, I guess that's what I'll call it. That was something that I needed to really, I had it on a mirror in my bathroom, just that one, because I've gone through a lot, I've been through a lot. If you DM me your emails, everyone that's viewing this, you'll get a chance to get a digital download of the All About Me, my story. But fearless. Think about how your reaction to fear has changed over the years. Have you learned to navigate in spite of being afraid? And for me, I learned that, and I did not know until I started working through the Ekman's Atlas of Emotions, that a lot of my actions were fearful actions, and I was operating from a place of fear, and I didn't really know that because I consider myself to be pretty for excuse the language, but pretty ballsy. Like, I'm brave. I was 18 and hit the road with my friends driving from Michigan to Atlanta with $50 and a road map. So that's kind of like, I've always been fearless, I thought. And then once I started really studying like how my emotions were and how I reacted to things, I was like, oh, okay, I am afraid, but why am I afraid? And so it's not on here, but one of the questions also, it talks about, describe the first time you felt fear. And the first time I felt fear, it was as a child. I'm a product of a domestic violence situation, and so growing up in my home, like, I had to be brave, but it was a fearful situation. Watching my mother have to be emotionally and physically abused, and um, it was hard. it was hard, and I still like I can tell it's hard because I really don't like talking about it. I talked to my mother about this yesterday, and she was like, "It's your story, your experience. You lived it as well." But that's really where my fear came from. As a young girl, being 4 and 5 years old, watching the kind of physical violence that occurred in my home, um, it made me very apprehensive of people. My father was a wonderful father. He treated us well. He provided for us. He, did everything. I never laid a hand on me, but he also showed me what can happen. And so I've noticed that, like, since working through all of this process, I've noticed, like, I do approach all of my relationships kind of with kid gloves because you never know what may happen. Um, so working through fear is a good point. So I encourage everyone to just kind of think to that first time you felt fear, and then go back to this next question, which is, how has your reaction to fear changed over the years? And I realized that my reaction to fear had not changed, because my reaction was just, I lock up, I freeze, that's it, I shut down. Like, that's it. But you have to grow, and you have to become stronger, and you have to work through that. And I've learned to navigate, like, even today. I didn't want to get on here because I was afraid. I don't even know why, but I was afraid. You just got to work through it, because fear will stop you. And again, like, I can't take over Oprah's spot and dominate the world if I'm just sitting in my bedroom talking to myself. I have to talk to you guys. So yeah, I just covered 4 of the vibes, and like I told you guys, I wasn't gonna be on here long. I covered 4 of the vibes, and we'll go back over it real quick. Love. I want you to today list 5 non-physical traits that you love about yourself. They can be anything. Don't talk about your eyes. Don't talk about your smile. Don't talk about your hips. Don't talk about your lips. Think about non-physical traits that you love about yourself. And I would encourage or challenge you to do that once a week. Just write 5 things once a week. It really helps boost your own confidence, because you can't, if you don't feel it, then nobody else is going to feel it. So you have to express that confidence, and you have to feel that love within yourself, and know that you are, in spite of what you may look like, in spite of what you bring to the table financially, that you are 100% the complete package, inside and out. Next, we talked about accountability. So recall a time someone told you that your actions hurt them. How did you react? And I'm going to even do a bonus and challenge you to, when you think about that, if you feel like you didn't react in like the most mature or appropriate way, maybe go ahead and give it another go. Healing. Who do you owe an apology? Apologize without expectation. I have to say, I apologize. So I never was a big apology. I didn't say I'm sorry a lot. But now I say it so much that the people close to me, they really think I'm being funny, because I, like, automatically I will just say I'm sorry. Like, I've gotten used to just saying I'm sorry, and not in a and I don't say I'm sorry. I just say I apologize. Like, please forgive me. I apologize. Because I'm not sorry at all. But I do apologize. Fearless. Again, like, hey, Rashida. How has your reaction to fear changed over the years? Like, I challenge you to really think about that. Think about the first time that you felt fear, and think about, over the years, how you react to it. And when I first started thinking, again, back to that story, when I first started thinking about fears, like, I'm not fearful. Like, it's not a great thing, but, like, people know me. Like, I will walk down the street in the middle of the night by myself, whatever. It's not a great thing, but it's not necessarily being fearless. You have to also be wise. That's what I'm learning. You also have to be wise. And I'm going to go back up here because I did not get a chance to ask you guys. If you do have a copy of the book, or even if you don't, you can go onto Amazon. But I would love for you to leave a review of Awakening Vibes on Amazon. You can go to my author page. I have it right up there for you to see. Go to www.amazon.com/author /Bohemian Bap. Leave a review, purchase a book. We also have Queen Vibes up there, and we'll get on here in a few weeks and do a live book signing. I mean, it looks like we're trying to, pivot with the rest of the world. So we'll get on here and do another book signing. And Queen Vibes is for young girls, ages 9 to 14, because I really, for me, working through this process, I realized that was the age. Like, I went through a lot of things, tough things at that age, 9 to 14, that young women shouldn't have to go through. And it kind of altered me just a bit. Not that I didn't already have the virtues that I have right now. I was confident. I had two loving parents who supported me and encouraged like every crazy idea. And let me tell you, I had a lot of crazy ideas as a kid. I mean, I had a girls' club. I made them eat mud pies because I thought that was a good way to show that they were loyal to me. Don't ask, but my parents supported every dumb idea I had. Um, but I realized, like, going into adulthood, there were some things that I didn't get a chance to express or work through ages 9 to 14 that probably if I had an adult sit down and talk to me about some situations and sort out my feelings, like I would have gotten further along. I'm all caught up right now. Good. But so it was important for me to make sure that I created something for young girls, especially young girls of color, because we don't always see. I mean, we see the glitz and the glamour and the movie stars and all of those things, but everyday women, as you can see, like I have up behind me, just everyday women that are just doing them and being themselves. So, without further ado, I thank everybody for joining me. I appreciate you guys all. Uh, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, to those whose mothers are no longer with us. Like, my prayers are with you over this weekend. I know it's a difficult time. My grandmother is not with us, and it's always this is a tough holiday weekend for my family because she was our support system. So definitely reach out to um, a woman who you admire, a woman who you look up to, a woman who has supported you. And I encourage you to give them a call, especially during this pandemic. What I did was I sent a card to all of my aunts because they're all out of state, and I've lived far away from all of my family. They're all out of state, and I also know family is a big thing to them. So I sent a card to each one of them just because I know everybody's not going to be able to do their normal Mother's Day routine. Um, I already took care of my mom. She was the first person. She's done. But I encourage you to reach out to a woman in your neighborhood, in your community, that may not be able to spend time with their child on this weekend. Also, today, or this weekend as well, if you get a chance this weekend to get out, do a run. We're all getting out. We're going to do a run. Today was Ahmad, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, his birthday, but 2.26 miles. But I say just round it up to 3 miles because just do it like Nike. Get out there and do a run on today or a walk. It's good for us to do some exercise. That's another thing. The next time we'll jump on here, I'll talk about some of the alternative wellness practices that I've incorporated into my life, but I am still um, a Bible believing, faith filled woman. But I also have learned that there are some things that traditional medicine cannot help, and there are holistic practices that really are 1000% a boost to your system. And getting outside, taking a walk, 30 minutes a day, getting some exercise, that's helpful. But definitely on this weekend, I would encourage all of you to put on a white t-shirt, white tank top, and do that 2.26 miles. And again, Amazon.com. You can purchase a book. You can also purchase a book from my website, but if you did not already see my post from last week, um, Gorham Printing is in Washington State, and I love them because the quality of if you have a book, the quality of the paper, the process in dealing with them, I have to honestly say they were way easier than Amazon. Amazon and I go back and forth quite a bit. Um, Being a small business owner is got its highs and lows, but Gorham Printing is fantastic. They've been in touch with me every step of the way. And unfortunately, they are still in a stay-at-home order, so they won't be able to get back into their offices until June 1st. So once they are in their offices, they've already assured me that my order is the first one up, and they will be printing and shipping more books, and I will be sending them to you. If you buy books from my website, you get this pretty little packaging. So if you don't get this from Amazon, don't complain, and please don't leave a negative review. This is not Amazon. This is my personal touch, kind of to encourage you as a bonus to go to my website. You'll get, oh, I didn't even tell you. These are my bag of vibes. I tend to go faster than I should. These bag of vibes, like I in the beginning when I said, like I started this process kind of locked in a room, working on my own issues with notes taped to the mirror, and I wasn't even a note girl. Like I'm not an affirmations girl. People have given me journals over the years, and sorry, regift them because I was like, yeah, I don't need that. I don't need that. But um, there came a time that I needed it. And it started with writing little notes and taping them to my mirror, and then tape them to a notebook, and the bag of vibes. That's what came about because I thought like you may be on the train, you may be on a plane, you may be at the office, you may be, you know, at a friend's house, you may be on vacation, and you don't have a big notebook, you don't really feel like writing because at the time I didn't feel like writing any of this stuff. Like the questions came later. It was really just the process, and really because I'm more of a like I'm in my head a lot. I know it's not the best thing all the time, but I'm in my head a lot. So I said the bag of vibes would be great. What if there was something that you could just pull out, pull into your purse, like go into your car, put on some headphones, and they look just like this. They have, and don't get it twisted, they are not the exact same thing as the book. So the book goes a little more in depth, but these cute little cards have um, hotline numbers, emergency numbers for you to call. Like they're helpful resources. But they also have these cute little quotes on here. And then I have Bohemian Vibes, and then Thinking Baps are Thankful Baps. So there's two action prompts. So it's nothing that you have to write. It's something that'll quickly kind of bring you back to yourself. That's the way I think of them. But these are available on my website as well, exclusively on my website. So feel free to peruse prettybrowninc.com. We are updating our website as we go. I appreciate everyone for hanging out with me today. And I just want to say once again, happy Mother's Day. And you guys really encouraged me just sitting here. I know nobody wanted to say much, but go ahead, send me a quick note. Let me know what you thought. You've got questions. Next time we'll answer some questions. But until then, you guys have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day. Spring is coming. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Please wear your mask. Wash your hands. Social distance. Stay in the house as much as possible. You can read. You can buy a book or two Or 3, buy some cards, play a game with them. Could do any of that. Just stay safe. All right, you guys. Take care. Love you. Bye.